Welcome back, everybody, to Talk of the Now podcast. I am your host, Gene, and with me at your favorite podcast is the Jason. Jason, how are
I'm all right. All right. Now I get a "the" in front of my name.
the Jason,
The Jason. Yes.
the Ohio Jason? I'm just kidding.
Well,
Jason's
no.
never. I don't even know if you've been to Ohio.
Yes, I have twice. Yes.
I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. Kidding, Ohio people. I love
Beautiful place. Yes.
you. I'm sure it is. I've never been. I want to go. Don't worry. Simmer down, Ohio people. I want to go.
I'm having to wear my big headphones tonight because I can't find my regular earbuds. But anyway, all right.
Well, you look like you're ready to record "We Are the World," so that's okay. We are the world. That's my Bruce Springsteen. I always love the contrast of those singers in that video because like some of them just kind of "We are the world." Then Bruce comes up, he's like, "Ah, yeah." I'm so old.
Oh,
People
we
that
all
under
are.
30 have no clue what we're talking about.
They do not.
We
They do
are
not.
we are the world. What the heck is that? Oh my gosh. I mean, it seems like yesterday I was 23 and now I'm just old.
Yep, I will be 48 in December. Ooh.
Well, that's you said it. Jason called this meeting, by the way. I'm kidding.
Well, I did.
Sort of.
It's
I think we're on episode. I was going to talk about this off air, but whatever. We're family. This is a family. We're Talk with the Now podcast family.
That's right.
All 12 of you that listen, mostly Monty, I think.
Yeah.
And Monty, we love you. Maybe I'll have you on one day to talk about computers. I don't know. Raising 5 kids, however many he's got. I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say. How's your wife?
Good.
Yeah, she's
Very
good. She's great.
It's great. Yeah.
Still 6'2".
Yep. Still makes me feel like I'm tiny. Yep. We're being facetious here. I feel like a giant.
Mm-hmm.
Next to my wife, but
All right.
We're riveting the audience, Gene. We're riveting the audience.
I'm trying to lose it. I'm trying to do a weed out process. Who can we weed out?
That's right. Who are the true loyalists out there that'll listen?
I was
to us
into that
even
podcast until they just started talking about literally nothing. They were just sitting there laughing at each other.
Seinfeld? Yeah.
What is with the podcast? They just don't talk about anything.
No. What's with the podcast? Yeah. Anyway.
It's a podcast. You're supposed to talk about something. George. No, I do have some things in mind, I guess. First off, we'll talk a little bit about this. Okay, we're going to go for a little while and don't have a theme topic, but I do want to ask you first off, for those of you that are new to the podcast, welcome, like, subscribe. No, I'm kidding. But if you're new to the podcast,
hit the button.
Jason and I, we like motorsports.
A little bit. Yeah.
I like NASCAR. I like IndyCar.
Well, we still
like
hang
F-car.
out with them anyway.
F-car, F1 racing. I like drag racing. I grew up in the automotive business industry. My dad was an auto body man, owned his own body shop. And so I grew up around show cars. Show cars are kind of what I gravitate toward. Jason loves motorsports, mainly, probably only, well, mostly only, F1 racing. And what do we call the racing you went to last week?
Endurance. Yeah.
Endurance racing. Those are probably your main two that you care about, right?
Yeah, mainly.
I don't know if you keep up.
I watch a lot of motorsports, different ones, but the ones I really follow are those. Yeah.
Do you follow? I know you like Australian
V8 supercars.
Yeah. Do you follow that at all?
No.
Okay. I'm always intrigued when I see it on TV. I mean, I'll watch it if I happen to catch it. So anyway, Jason went to an endurance race of sorts last week. So what'd you go to, Jason?
I went to Petit Le Mans. You've done a call with me that was very hectic and crazy. I guess it was last year.
Oh yeah, you can look
From
that
that
up, people,
race,
if you want
did
to.
an on location one from there. Yeah, we camped out for the whole week, all the different practice rounds and support races and things, and the pageantry around it. The good thing about the WeatherTech series, which is what this is, it's the U.S. endurance racing, and it's very open. You with your ticket, just your general admission ticket, you can walk down through the pits by the garages. You have to get out of the way of the race cars as they come down the pit. I mean, it's very up close and personal. You don't get that with any other series. Period. You can go watch a WEC race, which is the World Endurance Challenge, which is what Le Mans races in France.
Same cars, though, right?
What's that?
I'm sorry, same cars, right?
Style of cars, not the same cars. No, not the same cars. Used to be a long time ago that we were the Petit Le Mans was on the World Endurance Challenge calendar, and they would race here, but they don't anymore.
Okay.
So we do get a lot of international racers here racing for it, but it's just it's not quite the level of manufacturer support that there is now. I mean, Penske races in the WeatherTech series with Porsche, prototype cars, those kind of things. Porsche has a lot of factory support cars there. You get a lot of different things, but you go to France for 24 hours of Le Mans, and you would have to have some crazy pit pass to be able to go down through the paddocks or anywhere where they're at, and they just don't have the access that this one has. So the WeatherTech series is really good for that. Got to see a lot of different drivers.
Patrick Dempsey in attendance this year?
No. Elio Castroneves drives a car. Let's see. We got Mike Rockefeller. Anybody that's familiar with this kind of racing, he's won Le Mans actually a couple times. Raced for Audi back in the day. He drives a car. He was actually in the car with Jenson Button, of all people, the 2009 F1 world champion, was racing there this past week, and got to get a picture of him in the pit road. That was kind of neat. But you'll see a lot of different people. You'll see a lot of names. You're like, wait a minute, I know that guy. It's like, well, yeah, he used to race in this other series or something. So sports car racing, you can actually do way later in your career, for longer than you can, like, say, a Formula One level or something like that.
So you'll see like 50-year-olds doing it, 55-year-olds,
70-year-old. There was
even
a 70-year-old. There's a 70-year-old racer. I mean, that's an oddity, but still. But yeah, you'll see people, racing all the way up into those years. So it's kind of neat, and it's a very, very, like I said, the culture around the track is really fun. Each little campsite has its own personality. We had the Turn 10A Mafia. That was us.
Let's back up a little bit. You, Jason, you go there Tuesday, right? And this is an all-week thing, pretty much.
Yeah, the main race is 10 hours long, and it's on Saturday, but I go out there Tuesday now because we have a friend of ours who brings a pull-behind camper, and we have a powered reserve spot, so we get to get in on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And we glamp now. I used to camp on the hillside, if anybody's familiar with Road Atlanta, on the outside of Turn 10A. But now we glamp.
Meaning?
On the back with a camper and a golf cart and all this other stuff.
So you don't even pack your own tent or nothing like that anymore.
Right, because we have a camper.
Yeah.
So we have climate control and level sleeping ground, which is
so he brings enough to I mean, how many people are in this?
Me and our friend Scott and Joseph.
Oh, so just 3 of you.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought there was like a group of like 5 to 10 of y'all. Not in the one camper, but like just together.
Well, there's people we know that were camped out in 10A, but they camp out somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
One of those guys actually bought a Class A RV this year. Bought one. And he has more money than sense.
Must be nice.
He doesn't listen to this. So Shane, he bought that. He had a Rivian truck there this year. Of course, he's got a side-by-side he pulls back in the garage, part of that toy hauler, Class A. They had a smoker set up and a grill, and we had brisket. Then we had pork butt, and we had mashed potatoes, a roasted vegetable. I mean, it was amazing.
Did he bring all this stuff?
Yeah, that's Shane. Yeah, that guy.
Wow.
One of the other guys that camps in the other area, but it's part of our old link to our old 10A group. Yeah, so I always give them a little bit of money for food, even though I don't sleep there. I'll give them money for food so I can come in there and snack. And we had a bourbon and brisket event on Friday night, which was nice. He brisket, mashed potatoes. What else do we have? Coleslaw and roasted vegetables. And then we had a bourbon tasting. So that was kind of neat.
I didn't know you were into bourbon.
Yeah, it was nice. It was interesting. Yeah.
Do you like bourbon or just kind of like, it's okay, I'll take it, leave it?
Yeah, I like bourbon. It's okay. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Where was the and so it's a decent sized camper, so yeah, I guess they have bunks in it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the one that we slept in, back on the other part of the track. Yeah, there's 2 bunks, there's a couch that turns into a bed, and then there's the bedroom with the bed in it. So
so you have room for me next year if I come, huh?
Yeah, it's always We'll get you a shirt that says next year. Yes.
I did go one year.
For years. Gene would always say maybe next year, and he did come out there for a race day, and Scott, our other friend, took a picture with all of us and said next year finally came.
Yeah,
I did. That's a famous picture.
Yes.
It always comes up in my memories around this time of year. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, and there's room because our other friend Wes and his daughter used to come and stay with us too. But yeah, it's nice. Like I can't emphasize the climate controlled and level ground or level sleeping position, because sleeping on a hillside is with my feet facing downhill like I used to, man. Sliding down to your sleeping bag, you have to push back up.
I got blood in my feet from sleeping all night.
Yeah. So it's definitely a lot better. And it was nice. My new father-in-law came out for 3 out of the 4 days this week of the race.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. He's hooked. I kind of baited him with some of the smaller races that happened earlier in the year there, since we all live, 15 minutes from the track. It made it easier for him. And so he's a mechanical engineer by trade, so he loves going down. He loved that we could walk through the pits and you could see him adjusting the suspension on the car and all that stuff. He loved all that. It was fun.
I'm sorry, any idea what year that I went?
Oh, I was eons ago. I don't even remember. It's been so long, Gene.
Because I was thinking I could share the photo for the video viewers here.
Yeah, probably was what?
Was it pre-15?
It was the year after. It was a year after the Audis weren't. They weren't there anymore. Because you didn't get to see the big teams.
I was a little upset at that. But.
You were there the first year they stopped because, NASCAR took over the series basically, and they have a beef against the FIA, the International Autosport Federation of International Automotive Sport Autosport. So, let's see, what year was that? That was probably. It might have been 2015.
I'm actually looking for this photo right now to see if I see it. Of course, I'm seeing if I can see it. Because I believe that I might be able to share this if I can find this thing. Like you, it oftentimes just kind of shows up on my.
Yeah, I know, and I always think, oh, I should save that, so I've got it, and then All right, just to let you know how much I'm at the track, I have 1,106 pictures on my phone.
Do you really?
From Brazelton. Yep.
Wow. Oh yeah. By the way, for those that don't know, this is in Brazelton, Georgia, at Road Atlanta. And do you know how many years this has been going now?
This is the 26th year. But it just happened. Yeah.
Wow. And now how old is this track? Do you know?
1970 it opened.
Wow, 1970.
The Whittington brothers, yeah.
Very interesting. Well, I
Famous
couldn't
for
find the photo.
famous for many things, including uh, landing a plane late at night on the backstretch because they were into other illicit or kind of more need to be secret deliveries, if you get what I'm saying. Um,
I grew up kind of around the Atlanta Dragway or whatever it was called, Atlanta Drag Strip Dragway, I guess. That
Up
was
in
in
Commerce.
Commerce, and
Yeah,
I
that's
missed that being there.
closed now. Yeah.
For years, growing up, like I said, in the auto body industry, show car business. My dad and brother would go up there looking for auto parts, for used parts for classic cars, and they had a huge parts swap every year at the what they called the Super Chevy Show, and it was a fun show. I mean, they would have you know, it was kind of like amateur drag racing going on during the show, and outside in the parking lot, they would section off a huge section of it for the parts swap. And for those that don't know, a part swap is basically like kind of like going to a junk sale, which is just literally car junk, if you will. But you go around and people can volunteer to be vendors, and they take all their car junk, kind of like a garage sale, but it's just for cars. And they take all their, they have like one sectioned area off, and you sell your parts, whatever you have there. And it was a fun time. I mean, looking back on it, when you're a 17-year-old and your dad makes you go, you're like, oh gosh, it's going to be hot. I'm going to be there for 7 hours. We got to
Yep.
leave at 6 a.m. But into my early 20s, I would go and thought a little bit more of it. And man, they had some good food there too. The vendors had some great food. Um, and I remember I went one year when I was like maybe 25 years old. And my brother was trying to sell all kinds of junk. And Jason knows my brother. My brother is like we're talking American Pickers, um, without the selling part, where he just likes to collect crap and just if there's a car part, he wants to buy it and keep it. Or if he's got 5 wrenches, if he finds another one at a state sale for $2, he thinks he's found a deal. That's pretty much my brother. And I was out there trying to help him sell some stuff one time, and I remember my brother has some old generator, and this guy walks up and goes, "How much you want for this, man?" And I was like, I'm not even sure if it works. Does that work? My brother's like, "Yeah, it works." I was like, $100. He's like, "Here you go." And I was selling. I bought some waters and some grape soda and sold that out there. But it was fun. I remember one of my funniest memories is being like maybe 16, and that was the first time I ever really knew what a Mater sandwich was. My uncle I had two uncles, Uncle Lee and Uncle Kenny, and they would take a trailer full of car parts, um, and they would go to the show, and they would it was like one of those little kind of dinky trailers where you open up the back, and Uncle Lee's over there, and I'm walking over there, from ours. I walk over there to say, "Hey, what's happening?" "Oh, nothing much, Gene. What you doing?" "Oh, nothing." And Uncle Lee goes, "You hungry?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting there." And he goes, "Oh, you want a Mater sandwich?" And I was like, "What's a Mater sandwich?" He goes, "Well, it's a sliced tomato between bread." I was like, "Oh, I think I'll pass." He gets out the salt and pepper and puts it on his slice. He's got the tomato, and he's just, or if you're my grandpa, he called it a Mater sandwich. But
Mater, yes.
got a Mater sandwich, and you put the slice of Mater on the. Now, if you're fancy, you do it at home. You might put mayonnaise on it too. But
Right, of course.
but the funny thing is, I didn't like tomatoes, but now it sounds pretty good. And there's my Super Chevy Show stories. Man, I can tell some stories about all the car shows. If I sit down and think about all the different car shows that I went to growing up, um, there was my dad was in a car club
Yep.
called the 55, 56, 57 Club. I think they're long gone, but they used to have. I mean, this was kind of like it's a pretty fancy little club, and it was a car show club basically, and it was nothing but 55, 56, 57 Chevrolet Bel Airs, and every year we would go to this thing, and my biggest memory is my dad taking his 55 Chevy, whichever one he had at the time or had fixed up and painted, some goofball, would win it that didn't have one quite as nice as my dad, and I just remember my dad just spitting and cussing because, it's that dadgum politics. I'm through with this stupid, things like
And
that.
then come back the next year, yeah.
And he come back next year, yeah. I remember he got really. I don't even know if this show's around anymore. Called The World of Wills.
Oh yeah.
It might still exist, but I must have went to probably 15 or 20 of those growing up because Dad would take his cars or trucks there, and it was always the same thing. He gets so mad about the politics of it.
Yep.
Because there was a guy out of Buford called Lamar Stevens. God rest his soul. He passed away. Golly, probably back in as early as 2006 or so. And Lamar was sort of the preeminent interior auto upholstery guy in Atlanta. If you had Lamar Stevens do a car for you, it was a big deal, and very expensive too. I mean, he was not cheap because he was considered one of the best, kind of like my dad was. And my dad was pretty, not to just boast about him, but he was pretty renowned. He had cars featured in Hot Rod magazine and Super Chevy magazine and things like that. Not his car. Maybe he may have had one or two, but a lot of his customers ended up having their cars featured in those magazines. And Lamar Stevens, he was a character. He was a great guy, and he would have he had a black gentleman named Cheyenne that would that worked for him, and Cheyenne was the coolest. I thought he was the coolest when I was 10 years old because I wanted to teach him, or not teach him, but I wanted to break dance with him because that was the 80s and breakdancing was the biggest thing around, and and Cheyenne back then was probably 45 years old or whatever, and but he was such a cool guy, and I remember he died at a young age, fairly young age, probably around 60 or so, like that, years and years ago. But Lamar though was very expensive, and my dad would horse trade to get him to do work, and that's how a lot of that business worked.
Right.
A lot of times you'd have, and sorry about the tangent, but a lot of times you'd have
All right.
Did you find the picture?
I'm still looking.
And you froze. Okay, now you're back.
All right.
Lamar and Dad, they would change. They would like it was horse trading a lot of times with these people.
Right.
My dad had a truck that he restored one time, and he had a friend named Billy. We called him Billy Two Beers because the guy, when he came to my dad's shop, he would always have a jacket on, and he's almost guaranteed to have a Bud Light or a Budweiser in his not a Bud Light, but a Budweiser in his jacket, and he'd always have one in his hand. And after a while, I gave him the name Billy Two Beers because he would he'd show up with 2 beers every time he came to the shop. Not that he was drinking and driving, folks. He only lived about 2 miles away from the shop. So, my dad, he basically had him build an engine for him. And so the horse trade was Billy would have him paint a car for him. Same thing with Lamar Stevens. Lamar had a 50, like for instance, he had a 56 Chevy Bel Air that he needed painting. It was a 4-door, very cool car. And my dad got some interior upholstery work done through painting a car for Lamar. So there was no monetary exchange in this. It was all just horse trading. And there was another legend, I like to call him Lamar Walden, if anybody's ever heard of him. A lot of Lamars in this industry. I don't know why. There just were. Actually, there's only those two that I know of. But Lamar Walden, you can look him up if you're out there. He was a drag racing guy. He did a lot of, I think he did some of the gasser stuff. That's kind of the, he might have done some of that. Basically, sort of, back in the day, you'd have like 34 coupes and you drag race those. And Lamar he was a lot into drag racing. His son, Rob Walden, still has a shop running it. I'd like to get Rob on just to talk to him about some of his dad and their stories and drag racing sometime. I grew up with Rob, but his dad, Lamar, was considered one of the best in the region as well for his engine building capabilities. Like he just built lots of engines. And we're talking like $500,000 engine type stuff.
Right.
Or same thing. My dad he was into 409 Impala racing. And my dad, a lot of times, if he needed an engine built for a truck or a car, something that he had, he would do a paint job for Lamar. Lamar would bring his. I think my dad probably painted 2 or 3 of his Impalas so that he could get an engine done. Yeah, and it's funny how my wife and I talk about this a lot of times. How so many people end up doing what their dad did. We're talking about mostly males. I don't know about females really on the statistics, but I think so many, like we think about, especially in the high-paying careers, like doctor. You probably have a doctor for a son. Dentist. You probably pushed your son to be a dentist.
Right.
How many baseball players have had sons that at least got up to the minor league level? And
race car drivers, for that matter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, NASCAR's full of them.
Oh yeah.
Just name off a few besides Earnhardt. You've got the Allison boys, the Petty boys, so many of them.
Well, you got the Hills, Graham Hill and Damon Hill. Damon Hill, Graham Hill's son, Formula One champion.
Any other Formula One families?
Verstappen. Jos Verstappen raced in Formula One for a little bit. Max Verstappen obviously is multiple world champion now. Carlos Sainz Jr. Obviously, there's a Carlos Sainz, and he was a race car driver. So, yeah.
Now, Senna's nephew, right? He's a race driver.
He was. Yeah, I don't know what he does now. He doesn't.
He may not be racing right now.
Yeah, they took him out of the industry for 10 years after Senna died, and that kind of killed his chances. He probably would have been, at Senna level greatness, if he'd have stayed in it.
Bruno, right? Is that his name?
Yeah, Bruno. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But anyway, the like I was saying, both those Lamar guys, their sons took their businesses over. When Lamar died back in 2015, his son Rob took over his racing shop, his race engine shop. Lamar passed away. His son, I think his son's name might be Kenny. He took over his business. Unfortunately for my dad, I did not take over his business, nor did my brother. But my brother still does work in the auto body business. He still works on. I think it's in my brother's blood. We talked about American Pickers a little while ago, like how he always talks about how junk is in his blood. I think that working on cars is in my brother's blood. Like it's just sanding on cars, breathing that crap in, the dust and all that, and sanding and grinding, and that's just, I don't think that, like you see some people that are football players, like, I never did anything else. I don't know what to do. I've never done anything else. Or a pastor that has a son that becomes a pastor. I grew up in the pastorate, and then I became a pastor. I mean, that's my brother. He grew up in the auto body industry. He lived, breathed it, and he's still doing it to this day.
Yep.
And then you got Jason, who is not an accountant, even though his dad was an accountant.
Well, yeah, no. No way.
So anyway, that's my story. I mean, I've got a lot more body shop stories that I can definitely share, but a lot of characters too.
Yeah.
Tell us why you didn't become an accountant, Jason.
I hate math. I'm right-brained. Did I mention I hate math? Okay, there we go.
Hate math. Jason, are you sitting in a wicker chair?
Don't judge me, Gene.
Because that looks like a wicker chair. I don't know if you stole that from Andy Griffith or what.
Why would you say that? Well, you see, I haven't quite acquired a office chair yet.
Maybe you should get a lazy boy, such as this behind me here.
I'll be getting a Herman Miller Aeron chair.
I tell you, this lazy boy is amazing.
Used Herman Miller Aeron chair, I might add, because I'm not paying $1,200 for a chair. I will pay $200 for a chair.
And by the way, I found the picture probably before you.
Yeah, is it of just you?
No, it's just us three. It is the picture.
No.
Oh yeah, it is the picture, and I found it. And so let me do a share because I'm cool like that. Now, hopefully this is not going to freeze on us. And let me see. You tell me if you can see this, Jason. Hopefully the audience can see it. The audience.
Yes, you need to share screen. Yes, I can. Hey, there it is.
Yeah. There we are.
That's
this
nice.
This is Jason right here in the middle.
In the middle.
This is
Well.
Scott, who might be embarrassed that we're showing his face. This is me.
He didn't seem to care when I asked him. So
Oh, you asked him. May we have permission
Yeah.
to share your likeness on
your likeness on the podcast.
podcast? I don't know who this little
As
kid
long
is
as he
down
doesn't
here.
have to talk on the podcast, he's probably fine.
There you go. There's the flags. There's the German flag. I think that's the Irish flag, the British flag.
What?
Z-
Irish flag.
Did I say Irish?
It's Italian, dude.
That's what I said, Italian. This is the Brazilian flag.
Yeah, that's very good. And that would be what would the one with the white plus be? The red with the white plus.
The American Red Cross.
Switzerland.
So there you have it.
Scott's like, there's a picture of all three of us. I'm like, yep.
This is a weird episode. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, but that's always a good night. We can talk about cars and motorsports and funny stories. You know.
Yeah.
It almost reminded me of Dale Earnhardt's podcast a little bit there. I actually listened to that. I think
That's a good podcast. I need to get back to listen to it.
Yeah, it is entertaining. All right, Gene, we'll take it easy. Have a good evening.
When's your podcast starting, by the way?
Fine.
Yeah, you're supposed to start a podcast soon.
Oh yeah, that's good, Gene. Good talk. All right.
Still in the.
I don't have my
phases.
own. No, I'm on with my cousin's husband, but that's about it. Yeah.
Oh wait, you're on another podcast? You've been
Yeah.
cheating on me.
I have. Sorry.
Huh?
I know.
Wow,
I
where's
you
my
have to
lawyer?
you have to contemplate on that for a minute.
You've been cheating on me. Wow, this is breaking news, everybody.
Yeah,
Jason's
I know.
been cheating
Well,
on talking
we
now.
have a whole 9 subscribers on that one, so all the time. So
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Jason, thank you.
right,
We'll
now.
talk next time. Take care, everybody.
see you later.